Hello, Gary Champion, Psychic Medium, once again with a humorous video today. Not metaphysical. I'm saying that. I think the idea came from the other side, and it's possible they may intervene and say something. Every afternoon at some time, I watch an Andy Griffith Show episode. Aunt Bee, Opie, Clara, all the cast of Goober, Gomer, cast of characters, Floyd the Barber. And I notice how whatever happens in town that he always manages to come up with a solution for it. It's like one time there was a guy that built a new fence and it ran along the property line of his neighbor, and the fence blocked the sun from his animals. And they brought it in, and I think this is one where Barney just started filling out forms so they could sue each other. And he said, "Why don't you put a chicken wire fence there? The chicken wire, the sun can go through it." And Andy said, "See, there's a difference between sheriffing and deputying." Can't even say that word. That's what happened. Everything was sort of calmed. Everything was understandable. So I started thinking, okay, we have a statue problem. Apparently we have a statue problem. So let's take it to Andy. What will Andy say? And Andy would probably say, everybody that wants a statue in that area should be able to have a statue in that area. Everybody get your statues together about whatever you want, whatever idea you have or philosophy or this side, that side, all sides. The statue. And after a while, they'll become irrelevant. Why? Because no one can see who's who in a pile of statues. And the ground get covered up. Can't even walk to see them, and people lose interest. Once they've got their statue up, like some of these statues have been around for 150 years, and no one knows who these people are. It's kind of what we do when they rename a street. Somebody famous from a certain town comes along and they rename the street. I think a town I went to high school in, they changed it from one thing to a country singer because he had a nice string of hits. Anyway, and when the statues become irrelevant, we can pull them all down and melt them and make something else. And we can put those fiberglass elephants and the monkeys, the fiberglass ones, where kids can actually go there and play. Because that's what we need. We don't need more statues. We don't need any statues at all. What are they? They're monuments to people who are dead. They're dead. What did they do that was so great? No one's perfect. I'd like to put up a statue to someone who's like the statues, irrelevant. No one knew who they were. Hundreds of years. Okay. Now we've got elephants and monkeys and giraffes, and kids are playing there, which is really what a park's for. We have this problem with the South China Sea, where we're sucking up sand and building islands, and we're marking our territory like a dog. Let's take it to Andy, and we'd say, well, I think we should suck up an island for everybody. Everybody should have an island there that wants one. And then they'll realize that having an island is just part of it. Now you've got to build on it. You've got to maintain it. You've got to have boats. You've got to have buildings. You've got to hire people. And the cost of having your little island in the South China Sea makes it irrelevant. People abandon them left and right because the cost is too great for whatever you're getting from them. And maybe we can put in some swimming pools or some floating islands where people can, with some park benches on them. where people can sit and talk about the day's events like they used to. Now they're just shouting at each other. But in my day, people would, you could see them on the square downtown. Remember the old square? It was actually, that's where the town started, was a square. It had the courthouse and all that, and benches all the way around, and old men would sit around and talk about philosophy. People would join them for lunch, bring a sandwich. No one was upset. Senators and congressmen can't seem to get along. Let's call Andy in. Andy arrives one day, and they're all meeting. Whole Congress is meeting, and begins listening to all this little petty stuff. People griping and complaining and bitching about this and that, but not passing laws, and not passing intelligent laws, passing stupid laws that get overturned by the Supreme Court. Why? Because they're illegal. The Constitution says you can't do that. But it takes them a year to unwrap something that some stupid person put up that got voted on, and they just overrode them. So here's what Andy would say. Let's all go out to this field I know, out by Johnson's farm. Mr. Johnson's agreed to let us use it. Now, it's just congressmen, senators, people. So, and they have to take one sock off and fill it with manure. I think you know what's coming next. They have to stand there and beat on each other with those socks of manure until they come to their senses about what a real law is and how we can help the country instead of trying to put money in our pocket. And here's the cool part. While they're gone, kids across the country elect their own children, congressmen and senators, and they take over. See, young kids haven't, hopefully, developed the sort of animosity and territorial, this is my party and my party stands for this and your party stands for that and we hate you because you don't agree with us. Stand out in that field, about 100-degree weather, slinging that sock full of manure, hitting each other in the face with it. And let these kids take over. We need younger people anyway. These old guys, they're just entrenched in their little warfare. It's like the First World War. Everybody was in a trench shooting at each other, and the war went on for years. Many, many thousands of people were lost. In other words, we need an overall philosophical idea for solving problems. Sock full of manure seems to work pretty well. What would Andy say? He said this thought yesterday. You always seem to come to the right solution. You need to put a road through town, and they would argue about it. And finally, the city guys said, well, this does that and that and that, so it's the best place to put the road. Argument stopped. But not our guys. Our guys can clearly see the right thing. They're just not going to do it because they believe in their party. They're going to do everything they can to stop it. We're children. Children wouldn't do that. Children would say, well, it's obvious that the swimming pool needs to be in the middle of town, not on the left or the right or north or the south, because then everybody can enjoy it. So let's put the pool in the middle of town. Let's not put it up just in one area. Proposed city pool should be for everybody. But it's not. Everybody who's a citizen of this country, I mean, each part of everything is kind of a little bit of them. You can't exclude them from it. Well, we pass laws that do that, but they're not fair laws, and they're probably not constitutional either. And someone's got to come up with millions of dollars to fight it in court. And no one's happy at the end result. But high school kids would say, yeah, let's build it there. That's centrally located instead of in this one neighborhood where the rich people want it, and they can buy votes, and they can get you a Cadillac if you vote this way or that way. Sort of even things up. Nothing wrong with sharing. We've just forgotten how to do it. But Andy's not forgotten. He's been in the ground a long time, but he still makes more sense than most of the people I talk to. We've become idiots, fighting and scratching and hurting each other over something that doesn't matter. I guarantee you, if kids had been in charge of this epidemic we have, this pandemic, they would have jumped right on it. They would have said, okay, the guys that are smart, that understand these bugs, you go over there and start working on that, and we'll get you money, and we'll work on it. We need masks. Okay, you guys go over there and build 200 million masks in that building. We'll pay for it. We'll hire you. We'll let you do it. And then what happened? This chaos happened. One side said it didn't exist. It was a figment. Just like Chuck Woolery, the old game show guy, came out saying how horrible it was that people had made up the pandemic thing. It didn't exist. He's tired of the games people are playing. And then his kid came down with it. Took all those tweets down. Why? Because he discovered the truth. Truth's a very powerful thing. And most people listen to the truth. Like Fauci, you think we should be listening to him? Because he does make a lot of sense. Or these guys who own a suit. Oh, and a neat looking watch. These guys who can make it to work sometimes. These guys who know infectious diseases. High school kids would have said, okay, well, let's do that. Let's compartmentalize this. Let's get this going over here. Let's make them and give them away. Instead, schools want to open. There's no mask for these kids. You can't move 40 kids far enough apart in a room to, it's all irrelevant anyway. The first time one person sneezes, they've all got it. Our most precious resource, children. Not lawn sprinklers, not Cadillacs, not the boat you have down in the harbor. Children. And they're fighting over that. I want my kid in school. And I told somebody the other day, we were talking about it, I said, why don't you go on social media and put something on there about it and watch the reaction? And she did, and there's two sides to it. People want their kids in school. They're willing to risk their kids' lives for economics. I believe I can homeschool. I can do a job from home. I can manage it rather than see my kid dead. It's up to you. And if you're a school district and you put kids in school and you make it an order, you make it mandatory, and they begin dying, you're guilty of manslaughter. In the court of law, they'll convict you too. You think anybody's going to listen to any excuse you've got when you begin killing kids? No. It's just things to think about. What would Andy do? Andy would say our kids are more important to us than anything, even our lives. Why would we stick them in some combat zone where they can all get sick? We do it with the flu. And they've convinced themselves that this is similar to the flu, and it's not. It's far more aggressive, and it's a killer. It's a global killer. It has no boundaries. Keep your kids safe. They're really all you've got. They come from you. Don't risk your lives because you want to go back to work and you need a babysitter for your kid. Keep them home. I'd rather not have an education than be dead. I have a theory that we don't really learn anything past the ninth grade anyway. They're housing us in schools until we're able to get a job or go to advanced school, college, get married and have kids of our own. But you can't do anything with a kid that's, what is that, 15 years old. Well, they used to. They used to have a child working in a factory at that age or any age. They passed laws that because we're killing so many of them, they had to pass laws saying you can't hire children. Children are the future. What would Andy say? Andy would say, protect that which is important. Everything else goes to the back of the line. So this is my, it's not very humorous, but it's my attempt at it. No fear, no regret, no anger. Just trying to say the truth. Thanks for watching.